Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today I have a brand new guest, Lieutenant General Harimohan Iyer. He's also with the IIT Madras and he is retired from the armed services. Now let's welcome the good general. Namaskaram, sir. How are you?
Namaskaram, and thank you for having me on your show.
Sir, the pleasure is all mine. General Ravish, I'm so used to calling General Ravi Shankar, General Harimohan Iyer. The incident happens, like for example, Pahalgam happens. And despite all the precautions set in place, something like this happens. 26 innocent people are gunned down by terrorists. And to add insult to injury, one of the guys says, go ask Modi. So it's a very, it's like a taunt. So the army, I think you can talk to us if you want to take this incident. You can talk about this or any other incident. So there is a protocol that is followed, and then the net is spread. So I'm curious how these things work because eventually we did get these people. It took some time. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Firstly, it was something which actually tickled my brain when I saw the, huge number of social media posts, particularly of a large number of people who were, showing aghastness as to how such a thing could happen. So when I discussed with you, I said, yes, it's something which
Yeah.
people should know, and if you were to put a figure out, the last big terrorist incident that happened before Pahalgam was Pulwama in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
So 5 years, even in Kashmir, there was no terrorist incident. Okay, even in periods when we had the abrogation of Article 370, when there were people who were threatening that there will be, river full of blood which will flow in Kashmir and all that, nothing happened. I was in Kashmir at that period of time, and we were able to control the situation. So one thing which I would like to leave or start with saying that uh, things are under control. A freak incident can happen, should not happen, but can happen. The best thing that we need to take from it is learn our lessons, close that window, and ensure that such a thing never happens again. So, that as a start point, I'd like to just put across certain tenets as to how things happen in India. I will put it this way. I was an instructor, or what we call a directing staff, in the staff college in India, and I had a guy, a student. I was his what they call as a protocol instructor, and he was from the white community. I don't want to bring out the nationality of the student. He had served his time in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we were talking about how operations happen in Jammu and Kashmir. And after about 3 hours of discussions and various kind of lectures, etc., this student comes to me. He says, "Sir, I have a issue to discuss with." He says, "I have operated in various terrorist kind of areas. I am surprised how Indian Army operates in India, and it is something which the world should know, that when Indian Army operates, we operate surgically. We do not use heavy weapons. We do not create any collateral damage. And we do not leave the world in a mess as many Western nations do, because we are operating in our own country. We treat the people who we are operating against as our very own. And therefore, there is a humane angle to every operation that Indian Army does. So that is something which I wanted to put across right in the beginning, so that people understand how things happen in India, especially people who have you have your audience all over. So they should understand this. The second thing which comes out loud and very, very loud: how the hell did they come inside? How were they permitted to come inside? We had people yelling around as to saying, how did they manage to reach 150, 200 kilometers inside. And what was our security forces doing? So here I would like to bring out, you know, what we have in the Jammu and Kashmir is something called a line of control. Now, line of control is not a line on ground. There is no fence on the ground as Bollywood films show, and a guy standing with a weapon aside across the fence. No, it's not like that. The line of control is a series of dominating features which are held by both us and them, depending on who's managed to hold what. And we have been holding this from 1971, some of them even since 1948. There is no decided line. So when I say a line of control, it's a imaginary line which runs along these dominating posts which both countries are holding. So when I say that there is a gap between two posts, there is a dominating ground that I am not holding between two dominating grounds that I am holding, which means there will be areas where I will not have domination, where our adversary will have the domination. Now, those areas are available for him to push in these elements from his side of the border. Right? So I don't have control on those areas because he's dominating those. It doesn't mean that I don't control it. So I carry out my degree of intelligence operations. And once I come to know that, and let me tell you, we get to know almost every infiltration bid is generally known to us by the time it actually happens. And this also your audience must know that out of 10 infiltration bids, 8 are kicked or killed at the line of control itself. It's only 1 or 2 of them which actually manage to get across. So when he tries 100 people across, he manages to push in 10. So that is the kind of damage which is caused despite of him having certain dominating areas along the line of control. Now, behind the line of control, we have something called an anti-infiltration obstacle system. It is a kind of a fencing system. Basically, it is to delay him. Should there be a case of a group which manages to still break through the line of control, we try and hold him at the fence itself. The fence runs, it's an arbitrary fence. We cannot say it is basically running along areas which are difficult to negotiate. So he's forced to come to the fence if he is able to get across the line of control. This fence is also dominated by us. So when the infiltration attempt is made, some are caught at the line, some are caught ahead of the line, some are caught between the line and the fence. So if 10 infiltration attempts happen, 8 to 9, that's a rough average, are taken care of in this window. Let me tell you, I was in Jammu and Kashmir for almost 4 consecutive years from 2018 to 2022. And in those 4 years all put together, if I was to put a figure, it will not cross 15 attempts in 4 years. So that is the kind of tight control one has as far as letting these people come in. And this is basically, I wanted to put across a point to those people who are wondering how these people are, coming across, because it's not a fence with a guard standing. It is not a apartment building with a, security guard standing in front. It's a live border where times there is artillery shelling which happens. There are small arms fire which happens. By and large, whenever there is an infiltration attempt, it is a hot border. He fires, he tries to cut your observation and tries to push his people in. It's going to be kind of a difficult negotiation for him, and we are taking care. And this I must assure people, 9 out of 10 times he is defeated there itself. So now the question you said, what happened in Pahalgam? The second thing which I heard and which actually disturbed is, there was no security there, there was no policemen there, there was no weapons there. So, the armed forces, and I'm now using the word security forces because it involves the army, it involves the CRPF, it involves JNK police, it involves other security agencies. It's a huge organization which works in JNK. And we work in something called a grid. So a grid is something like, cellular towers. So we put ourselves in areas which are interlinked to one another. So if A gets an information, he spreads it down and the entire grid gets activated, which is affected by that particular information. It could be movement of some people, it could be presence of a terrorist, it could be many other things. So when that grid gets activated, they take care that all the vulnerable areas in this area of responsibility are covered directly or what we call as prophylactically. Prophylactically means you will not see a person visible, but he is taking care of all entries and exits from that area. All right. So that kind of a system is always there. And it is better that it is that way because, when tourists are coming to a particular area, you don't want to see gunmen with weapons all around that area. You won't be able to enjoy the tourism that you come for. So that being the fact, there must have been prophylactic security. I don't deny that. There has been gaps. Another thing which I would like to lay out before we can start discussing, we have various levels of terrorists. So what we call as category of terrorists. So we call them Cat A, Cat B, Cat C in that way. Cat C, I'll start from bottom upwards. Cat C are, youngsters. Today's youngsters more want to be on social media. So they are local youngsters who possibly were unemployed, took on to arms. They are just into terrorism. Very young boys, 18, 20, 22-year-old guys. Possibly been brainwashed in various schemes, in the Friday prayers, etc. And they unfortunately take this line. Then there are Cat B. Cat B are a little hardened ones. So these guys, let's say over a period of time, having served their job as a terrorist, they become little hardened. So they are put into category B, which is basically local leadership. So they control a set of Cat C in all these villages and sub tehsils, etc., which is there. By and large, basic aim is to coerce the civil population. Otherwise, you won't see them carrying out any kind of terrorist activation. The aim is coerce them, take money, and possibly create a kind of a parallel economy and government running there, which unfortunately or fortunately for us in the last 2 to 3 decades has by and large been taken out. So they are there, but they are not having any influence per se. And then, of course, there will be those what we call as Cat A. Cat A initially was a term given to, we had post the earliest Afghan war. We had large number of Afghanis who were infiltrated into India after the Russians had gone back. And that is when these, what we call as foreign terrorist thing started in India. So these are people now in this current scheme of things, people who have been in the SSG in Pakistan. They are also a set of...
Could you unpack SSD, sir?
SSG, Special Services Group. They are commandos. So they are commandos, ex-commandos of Pakistan Army. Some of them who have been either court-martialed or possibly taken out and put into covert operations by their armed forces and infiltrated. There are criminals also. You will be surprised to know people who are serving death sentences have been sent here to carry out a mission. So you'll find such people who would have otherwise possibly been, hanged or whatever they do, and they have been given an option: go and do this if you want to survive, and they come here. So those kind of rogues are also there. So these get categorized as Cat A or foreign terrorists. So there will be, if a group moves around, there will be a set of Cat A. Could be Cat A, Cat B put together. Maybe a couple of Cat C possibly, because they need these people to do sundry jobs for them, because all of them live like, Nawabs, all these Cat A guys. So they are the so-called, big people. And then they have these set. So when you look at a group, you'll have 5 or 6 of these people mixed with all kind of different category of persons. And they would have nestled themselves in various, and Kashmir is a huge swath of land. Let me tell you this. So it is a full-fledged state, large amount of settlements. Almost 40 to 50% is thick jungles. So these people alternate between staying inside the jungles. They do come into developed areas for some time, urban area. Then they go back. So they dominate that area, and they are moved around by what we call as OGWs, or overground workers. So they are people who have sympathy for the cause, and they are far in. Earlier, they were a very, very large body. Over the period of time, it has come down. So today, the number of OGWs which one can see in Kashmir has come down drastically. And that is a good thing for us, because the terrorist support has basically got dried up. And these OGWs are the people who, take control of these people, move them around, and give them information, intelligence, and all these kind of things. So, by and large, what I was trying to bring out by this whole initial talk, which I made out, that be rest assured that there couldn't be more stringent kind of situation which the armed forces are working on, whether it is the line of control, the immediate depth, that is the anti-infiltration obstacle, and then the routes from the anti-infiltration obstacle to some kind of living areas. And also we have a very, very good strong network of intelligence, and we get to know what is happening. So by and large, that's why I said in 5 years you didn't see any major incident happening, because every incident which was being thought of by these people was being nipped in the bud. And if I was to say, we do almost, let's say, 2 to 3 operations every day, trying to take these terrorists out before they are able to execute any harmful event. So whether it's been getting into the area or trying to do something, trying to hit somewhere. So those kind of things are all taken care of. As far as Pahalgam is concerned, history says that till date, the terrorists or the sympathizers had always been wary of striking the tourists, because it dries up the income and it dries up support. That's why I feel that this time there was a larger conspiracy. It could be driven by agencies which are acting across, and that's why the Op Sindoor was undertaken subsequently, because there was a mission to this current event. And that's why possibly Pahalgam happened. Should not have happened. At least I have been there quite a period of time. And Pahalgam was possibly, despite being in South Kashmir, was possibly one area which was almost free and easily negotiable by any amount of tourists. It's also the base camp for the Amarnath Yatra every year. So a huge number of tourists, both Indian and foreign tourists, come there. So I was a little, taken aback when this particular event happened, and it should not have happened. And I guess we can take it from here. You can take the discussion forward.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. First question, sir, is you mentioned that the SSGs, ex-commandos, and people who have committed crimes, they are being sent in. Do they get covering fire, or they are looking to see if you are trying to respond and catch them? How does that play out, interplay between the two forces?
Okay. So they are like the animals in the zoo, right? So they are quite happy, in their own cages, hidden, and because they are basically there to show presence to the local populace, like I said. So it is like a false sense of security which they provide to the local populace, especially that populace which is sympathetic to the cause, which I must tell you is less than, it's in single digit as far as the population of Kashmir is concerned. You must understand there is a difference. If I was to look at my first tour of Kashmir in the 90s, it was the other way around. Now almost 80-90% people were supporting the cause. Today, the number of people supporting the cause is hardly 10%. Even I will say 10% is an upper figure. So they are basically there to subdue these people. Some people are listening to them because of fear. Some people listen to them because they feel that after some time these people go away, so why ignite it. And of course there are people who are willing to come forward and tell the security forces about these activities, and that's how our intelligence works. So we have a fair number of people in all
Human.
these areas. There's a lot of human, there's a lot of tech int, because these people start using various kind of communication, so the communication also gets picked up, and we keep monitoring them. And at an appropriate time, if we feel that there is an opportunity to neutralize them, an operation is launched, they are isolated and taken out. So that is a routine thing that keeps happening. That's why you keep hearing every day there is an operation. Let's say 2-3 days back, there was one in Kulgam. Another 10 days back, there was something in South Kashmir. So these kind of operations, whenever there is an opportunity, the security forces will carry out an operation, ensure that the operation is based on hard int, and take them out. So that is a kind of thing that keeps happening between security forces and these people. If I was to put a figure, they are less than 100 today. So at the peak, they were more than 3 to 4,000 at a time. So right now, the number of terrorists is sub 100, it's in 2 digits, and to best of my knowledge, it is around 60-70. So almost all of their leaderships is gone. It is only some isolated elements like this guy, who was possibly the SSG guy operating there, who was able to take some people along and carry out this operation. Very, very rare kind. Otherwise, they are far and few these days.
Sir, if I understand you correctly, you think that this guy might have come in a long time ago, taken or put down some sort of roots, stayed below the radar, and that's how he could do these things? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, this guy possibly has been operating for more than 4 years inside India. How he came is again a question mark. He could have come anywhere. He could have come even through the Nepal route or any other way. How he reached the valley, because it's a question of only when he becomes operative that his intelligence starts flowing in. But he's been there. There is something called the Pir Panjal range. Have you heard of it? Right? The
Right,
Pir
right.
Panjal
Range.
separates the Jammu region
Yes.
from the Kashmir region. So there are passes on the Pir Panjal range. Right from the north, there's a Haji Pir is in POK. Then you have the Mughal Pass. Then you have um, the what's it called? Where the Jawaharlal Nehru Tunnel is there. Then you have the Sinthan Pass, which is east of Kishtwar. So all these passes are there. You have to cross on these passes. These people are well versed. They carry out cross country movement from one hamlet to another. They carry out and they stay in all these Gujar huts, which are left unoccupied during winters. So they go and nestle themselves there. They have a number of hides inside the forest. Like I said, Kashmir has got almost 50% area which is under thick forest. So it's very difficult to scan those areas very, very thoroughly. So there will be areas which will be available. They keep creating caches there. They have tunnels, caves where they go and hide for a period of time. Again, they come out. They'll come get into a village, take their stores, take their whatever they want to for the period of time, and then they go. And they are like nomads. They keep moving from one hamlet to another. So it's very difficult to fix them to one place.
Thank you so much, sir. OGWs, O ground workers. As much as some may really want to help them, they also face some day-to-day challenges. You give, shelter to somebody. This is a guy, 18 to 27, 28, with a roving eye. You have daughters, you have wives, you have other women in the house. And they think it is their birthright to do whatever they want with any one of this family. And so my question here is, see, there is always this talk about winning the hearts and minds of Kashmiris. I mean, they have also suffered quite a bit. Yet, if you ask them, why do you hate Hindus so much? Somewhere I don't see a proper answer there. There is still that burning desire that these that we are better than these people, that they don't deserve to live. I'm not saying that they say that, but there's that thing that is always underlying current. I'll give you a simple example, sir. Things were much better. I was in 1979. I went twice to Kashmir, 74 and 79. Both times I was very young. In 79, right from the bus stand to any place you went, right, they know who you are, and they'll say, "Aap to India se aaye hain." I said, "What the?" I mean, I've never heard this thing before. So this felt, little foreign. Even the
It's not
hotel.
something new. It's not something new. I experienced it in the 90s when I was there. He said, "This banana has come from India." So I slapped that guy. So but the point is, you're Indian. After all, you can't say that. But then I guess that's in their, that's been indoctrinated into them that they are not part of India. And possibly 370, I will, attribute a very large this thing to Article 370, because they were always held as something who were different, who were separate. Initially, they had their own prime minister, they had their own flag, you know. So possibly, I will not blame the people who did that, because we were also a learning nation in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And when these kind of decisions were taken, possibly people thought that we can lure them into us by giving them these concessions, which primarily became kind of birthright for them. You know, again, I can say this. Indian movies were all shot in Kashmir in the 70s when
Yeah,
you
yeah. Kashmir
visited
ki kali.
Kashmir. Yes. So every summer, there used to be at least 5 or 6 Indian Bollywood movie units, which used to be in various parts of Kashmir. And they used to employ all these locals, because they used to do all the, jobs, sundry jobs for these units, and made a lot of money. All these people were very rich. And I experienced it in 96 when I was there, and I was walking around Dal Lake, and I met a cabbie that time. And it was that's the first time elections were happening after this, after 87, and we were trying to do some canvassing to ask people to come and vote. So I was given a task to go down to what place called downtown, which is supposed to be the hub of all these activities. So I was talking to one of these cab persons, and he said, "साहब, हमारे पास इतना पैसा था कि कभी हमें कमी नहीं पता लगी, but now we are all drained out. All that money which was with us is all gone." So they started feeling the hurt almost 15, 20 years after these, activities started happening. If I was to put a figure, 86, 87 onwards, it started going south. And 95, 96, 97 was, they were at the peak. That's the time there was huge amount of expectation that possibly they'll get Azadi or whatever thing they were trying to look at. So I put a large amount of attribute to this, to Article 370, because post abrogation of Article 370, and I can say this without any remorse, that things have improved humongously. So today you find the national flag being fluttered in every corner of Kashmir. Lal Chowk, which one good old days, even we used to hesitate to go, today is open to people to go around. And by and large, things are in very, very good shape. And I was a little taken aback by Pahalgam, because had Pahalgam not happened, this summer was supposed to be a bumper tourism year, which unfortunately has got caught into this turmoil where it has happened today. And even the Amarnath Yatra had to be cut short because of the idol got melted out a little early this time. So by and large, even that Yatra became very truncated. So to a large extent, it has been a disappointing year as far as Kashmir is concerned, because I left Kashmir in 22, and it was really the last 2 years that one saw post abrogation of 370, things were really going very well. And I was surprised, extremely surprised. And that is why you find even the Chief Minister of Kashmir, um, Omar Abdullah, has given a favorable this thing to the way the things happen. So he has also taken it against those people. and I guess it has harmed the terrorism cause, because people who possibly were fence sitters would have lost their support to these people. They would have lost their support to those fence sitters. That's what I feel.
Sir, let's get back to the SSG, allegedly there in India for 4 years. Now, it's now come out that these people are using some new encryption scheme using Chinese walkie-talkies, and that kind of fell out of your communication range. You didn't know, you meaning the army did not know that this was even taking place. Do you think these were also brought in with him, or did he sync up with somebody here, or they're like a cache, like you mentioned, that it may have been stashed away somewhere, and that's how they linked up? How did that connection happen?
Firstly, I must correct you. We may not be able to overhear what he's speaking on it. Okay, but his signals are not disguised, if I was to use the word. So when he opens
So
up,
the thing is,
we
the
get to
encryption could not be
know
broken.
somebody is opened up. We get to know somebody is opened up. We call it the ultra. So there are very, very strong. All these, like I said, we are in a grid system. So similarly, our
Yeah,
technical intelligence is also in a grid. So whenever he opens up, whether it is earlier he used to use encrypted mobiles, he used to use Chinese applications, and post the banning of these, it became a boon to us because he can't use them anymore. Then internet is controlled in the valley, you must understand. So he
yes,
needs internet to use these apps. So once he uses these
correct.
apps, or whenever making a communication, we may not be able to hear what is part of that communication, but we do come to know that there is a communication happening. And if there is, like, it is not that every time he opens up, we know who is opening up. I can't say A, B, C is opening up. But after a pattern of something happening from a particular, and each set incidentally has its own dynamics. So you can, it's got its own DNA, if I was to use the word.
Okay,
So
signature.
you can make out that that signature of that set is there. So if a set is moving from place A to place B and is opening up, we get to know that this set has moved from place A to place B. And when it moves in a particular manner, we come to know that this is no normal communication. There is something to it, and that's how the grid will start readjusting itself, because he will hit into some portion of our grid which is there. That grid may or may not be on the axis in which he was moving, but that grid can be adjusted to tackle him en route. So first thing is that it is not that it is not heard. It is, the question is, we are not able to understand what is he speaking on it, because that is encrypted. That is one problem, which people are working on it, and it's a kind of a cat and mouse game. So we find the algorithm to decrypt it, then he finds another algorithm to re-encrypt
Correct,
it.
correct,
So
correct.
that kind of a thing keeps going on and on. They have a very, very good organization, multiple layered organization, very high tech equipment which is there, and we are able to, by and large, at least able to fix where these people are moving around. So that's how possibly Mahadev happened. And it's not that one fix and we decide. We have to, continuously follow a particular fix to establish whether that fix is valuable or not. It could be a hoax also. It could be a diversion also. It could be an OGW opening up, because those kind of people are also used. He also uses deception in his own mind. He'll also try and deflect us away from where he's intending to go by creating these kind of interceptions. So we are well equipped for it. There will be, obviously, when technology is running around, we are always catching up. So there will be some gaps, but by and large we are at it.
So the incident happened, and I think army responded probably within 30 minutes, and that gave them some time to escape. So what happened after that? Because it took a few months before India could smoke them out and then finish them off.
So firstly, you must understand, this place called Baisaran is a meadow which opens only during a particular period of time. All right, it is generally under snow, because the Pahalgam, upper reaches of Pahalgam, by and large is under snow for an extended period of time. Sometimes snow in these areas go up to 4 to 5 feet. We can't survive in those areas, except for some Gujars, people don't stay there. All right. About 5-6 years back, nobody used to go there. People used to just go to what is called Betab Valley, which is where movie Betab was shot, which is short of Pahalgam, and up to go up to Chandanwadi, which is just across Pahalgam. And that was the beat which used to happen. This Besaran has opened up 3 to 4 years ago. It is a place where all these kind of adventure activities, which has become the the current generations, the current Gen Z's requirements, zorbing and what's it called, zip lining, etc., etc. So they
Zip
have put up.
lining, yeah.
So this certainly started very very late, and this should not have been opened in that period of time. That's what I heard, and that's what I remember. That it generally used to open up only in July, August, not before that. That area was under snow, and it used to generally coincide with Amarnath Yatra because Chandanwadi is anyway activated in that period of time because that's where the route to Amarnath starts. So when Amarnath Yatra happens, all this area becomes very it becomes a security zone, very high security zone, and is very strongly monitored. So, to some extent, I am a little surprised. Now, as far as you said, 30 to 40 minutes. Now, if incident of this nature was to have happened, these people would have done at least 4 rehearsals. When I say rehearsals, they would have, other than taking their weapons, they would have done everything. All right. They would have even rehearsed where to get out, which route to get out, what should be their, and they would have people guiding them out. So that is one thing you must understand, that it's not that they came one day and they did and went. They would have done this, they would have planned it, they would have even identified, and there was also some kind of chatter going around that they were looking for a particular set of people on that particular day. There was a target.
Yes. Yeah, that did leak out a little bit. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Yes.
I will leave it at that. So it is something which they had possibly worked on. A date was fixed, and generally when they fix a date, it's not a date; it's a set of dates, A, B, and C. And if they feel that A doesn't work, then they leave it and they come back and try to do it a little later. All right. When Pulwama happened, there were 7 rehearsals. That's what I came to know, because the road was closed for almost 14 days. And every day there was a hint of road opening. I believe that guy tried to, bring that vehicle onto the main road. And it was only on the day, unfortunate day, when the road opened, and we were a little, I would say, unguarded, because large amount of vehicle movement was happening that day. And he came and did that incident in Pulwama. That I'm talking about 2019. All right. So here, the nearest camp, and it's let me tell you, the South Kashmir RR, Rashtriya Rifles, they are in the operations every day. All right. Because that is actually the belt where there's huge amount of activity which happens. So the unit which was there, it's a very, very, I'm personally aware it's a very good unit, and they possibly could have reacted faster. All right, because there is a place up to which you can go by vehicles, and thereafter either you have to go by a mule or have to foot it. So if you have to foot 7 to 8 kilometers in a beaten track, it will take at least 30 minutes for the people to have reached there and managed to get the situation under control. I will give them full credit for it. Yes, definitely, if these people had been doing some kind of rehearsals or activity, I do agree there was certain break in intelligence, which is what has been accepted also. And I guess that's where you drop your guard somewhere, and they come and bite you. But that notwithstanding, I guess having had that, and this is something we should know, the net was very tight. So they might have slipped out of that area, but the larger space, like I said, we have a grid.
The grids,
so the entire grid got activated, and we ensured that they don't jump across the Pir Panjal towards Jammu side.
So what are you saying? They were contained within a small area?
Yes. Oh, I wouldn't say a small area. Initially, maybe a larger area. And then the sweep must have started. And it's a sweep, not that particular unit was sweeping. There were multiple units, including the CRPF, the state police, and the armed forces. They would have, done this sweep, and the entire intelligence in that area would have been activated. All the OGWs would have been rounded up. There are certain people that we know are OGWs. It's not that you can keep them under. So if you realized maybe about 20, 25 days later, they had picked up some OGWs who possibly were known to have guided them, and then they started adding 2 plus 2 together, and the net over a period of a month and a half started squeezing them, and that is why these people got out of the urban areas and pushed themselves into jungles. So when you look at the area between Srinagar and Pahalgam, especially towards the ranges, it is thick jungle, very 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 thick jungle, where sometimes you can't see more than 1 to 2 meters. That is the kind of tree.
Even in sunlight.
Even
in
sunlight.
daytime.
You can't see sunlight when you go inside. It's very thick. I have operated there, so it is very very difficult. There's no vision. You can't see your own man. You have to move very very steadily, and there's enough cover. So if somebody they can hide for a period of time. So possibly they were pushed into an area which was continuously being monitored and continuously being tracked, because there were 5 or 6 operations in that period, if you recollect, and there were about 15-20 militants who were brought down. All right, some of them were the Cat C militants, but there were a couple of Cat A and Cat B also in that lot. So, and a couple of them were, initially presumed to have been part of this body, so or supporting this body. So there must have been a continuous operation. I personally expected it to happen a little earlier. It has taken us 3.5 months, but I guess because Sindoor was happening and there were other focuses going around, I guess we also must have taken our time. But again, like I said, once he started using his ultra, because after some time these people also feel that they are now, out of the loop, and possibly
Give
they
them
also
a false sense of security.
false sense of security, and that's when we are able to hit them. Possibly this guy, and what I believe is that he was trying to get another set of people in, and he was trying to communicate with them, and that is when that communication got picked, and then they were isolated and marked. And we have this wonderful special forces team, and they are super people, and I've had the privilege of working with them. They are super people. They can work. They can operate in thick jungles for extended period of times on living off land, and possibly stay down for an extended period of time. And they have never failed us. So it was, in fact, yesterday only I was speaking to the commanding officer, congratulating him for some really good job done.
Thank you so much, sir. Last question. We have actually it's 42 minutes into the discussion. I didn't even see the time run. Post Pahalgam, has tourism picked up in the valley?
I believe so. Firstly, the Amarnath Yatra happened. They have been truncated not because of security reasons, but it got truncated because of other reasons. Tourism has picked up. People have started going back. Obviously, there will be a sense, I will use a different analogy here. We had this unfortunate incident of an Air India plane crashing. And then
Yes.
I was flying Air India, and people were worried. We are flying Air India. I said that crash happened. The last Air India crash happened 2 decades ago. I said it's not at every Air India plane. So there will be a sense of, it's human tendency that moment you say, okay, rather than going to Kashmir, I'll go to Himachal or something like that. But that notwithstanding, my inputs are that the tourism, if not, like I said, this should have been a bumper year. Had that not happened this year, Kashmir would have had bumper tourism. In fact, the chief minister was very confident that possibly even statehood will get restored to him, because things have become so normal there. And he was quite hopeful that after the parliament session, that time I'm talking about the April session, that possibly even there is a case of asking for statehood. So that has all gone south now. So there will be, I will say there is a degree of caution, but yes, tourism is there.
Thank you, sir. Let's have some questions now, if you don't mind. Just 3 or 4 now.
No, take your time. I'm okay.
Before we do that, viewers, we're taking pre-orders for Sengol with the enclosure, and this will come to you in about 20 days' time. They're already being built. And those of you who have not yet got your enclosure Sengol, please do put in your orders, and we will be able to ship them in 20 days' time. And now we have reached a point where we are fairly comfortable with the process technology. We can do this thing pretty much continuously after this. Thanks for being patient. I know many of you paid and then waited and waited and waited. We just tried a few things. It did not give us the success we wanted, because we want you to keep this thing for life, and that's what it is built for. Now we are very confident that we have done that rigor. So please feel free to order that. Also, you have my new book. What is it? Anyway, I'll show it in the next show, no worries. And another thing, viewers, an update on what happened in that ill-fated Air India aircraft from Sridhar Chityala on Sunday at 7 p.m. Do join us for that one. Let's take some questions now. Srinivasan Iyengar wants to know, General Hari Iyer, very much proud for our ex-army officers, even after retirement, lending their services in premier institutions. What are the domains you are teaching, and how is the result? Thanks.
Thank you, Srinivasan. At the moment, I am helping research students who are doing masters and possibly looking at their doctorate research to try and take up certain projects which are got dual use both in civil and military domain, and this has got a kind of requirement because we are able to create our own startups. And my aim is, or rather the larger aim is, that we keep mentoring them so that they are able to set up their own startup. And the larger aim being that the brain drain does not happen and the Indian brain stays in India and they become good entrepreneurs, produce in India and export. That is the larger thing. And I do teach defense technology when asked for.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Shashikant Reddy. Why not use infrared satellites which can detect two-legged mammals like men from the satellite? If so, why not place a geostationary satellite on the border of Pak and China 24/7?
We do get, we have enough satellite coverage both in the areas that we need. There were a little gaps during the Chinese crisis, and by and large, those gaps have been filled. We are quite okay today as far as getting satellite coverage is concerned. As far as tracking militants and terrorists in these kind of terrain, it is extremely difficult. Infrared doesn't work at all because there is so much of foliage in that area that you can't see through, and it becomes counterproductive because there are so many other things that are happening in that area. So that notwithstanding, we do have a large number of drones. In fact, in Mahadev, I believe the complete operation was controlled by having eyes in the sky, and they were fixing those people and guiding the hit team to achieve that particular operation successfully. So we do have enough coverage, but yes, more is desirable, and I guess India is working towards it.
Next one, please. Rajaraman wants to know, General Sir, do you support annexing POK? What about the terrorists there?
I think I had a discussion on gunner shot a couple of months, maybe 3-4 months back. It's my belief, and POK will come to you automatically at some stage. You don't have to annex it. It is that fruit which once it gets fully ripe, it will fall on its own. So there is no point of wasting resources to try and annex it. There are no terrorists in POK, let me tell you this. 70 to 80% of terrorists who come to India are not Kashmiris, they are Punjabis. They come from the Punjabi heartland, and they are people who are economically very, very, very poor. And they have no other option but to take on this particular line of work, and they get indoctrinated in those havens of Muridke and Bahawalpur, which we successfully targeted during Op Sindhu. That's where the hub is. So there are no worries of having POK having more terrorists. POK is our own. People living in POK are our own people. And in due course of time, at least I'm very sure during my lifetime, POK will be part of India.
Thank you so much, sir. And that brings us to a close of today's program. General Hari Iyer, it was wonderful, and I think our viewers got a lot out of this. Nothing that has been covered before. nothing that we just discussed today. And my hope is that, Kashmiris come out and see how much India has progressed and continues to progress. And having these kinds of regressive ideas is not helping you. I mean, there is still population growth there, and you don't want to, you need to really wake up and smell the tea. Thank you so much, sir. Again, I'm hoping to see you again very soon. Namaskar.
Namaskar.